What's up, everybody? This your girl CC with Where It Begins Magazine, and my co-host is out today, but we have a special guest. I'm gonna let him introduce himself for who he is, what he does, and where he's from.
Hey, how you doing? This is Truth Coach Randy. I'm a truth coach. Many of you would say it's a life coach, but I'm a truth coach, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna figure out what a truth coach is. I started out as a life coach, but what I come to realize was that a lot of people's lives are derailing because they are not facing their own truths from within. So I've been put here on this earth to help people live within their truth so that they can find their peace and their happiness first, so that everything around them blossoms and flourishes to the capacity that it should without being stagnated.
Okay. Well, what made you want to pursue your a career as being a coach?
It wasn't a pursuit, it was a assignment. It was an assignment. I didn't really know what I was doing it. Me and my wife had opened up a salon back in '04. Well, first of all, I always knew I was a little different. You know, growing up, I always saw things differently, listened differently, and always explained specifically. I really never spoke unless it was something that I could back up. And so we opened up the salon in about '04, and being the only male amongst all of these women, of course, you know, I had to do a lot of talking. had to do a lot of talking, and it turned out that I was doing more counseling than talking. I didn't realize it until I had a particular client contact me and just thanking me, and I really didn't know why. She was like, "Well, you know, the conversations that we had, you've actually helped me to turn my life around." I was like, "Wow." I just took it as, "Hey, thank you." Well, my wife took it as, "What are you doing?" and started doing her research. And she was like, at the time, I really didn't know what a life coach was because I've never really been into like psychology and things of that nature because I'm a businessman at heart. Well, she did her research and she's like, "You know, you're a life coach." It's like, cool. So I did my studying, got my certifications. And as I was helping people, that's when I realized that they are, you know, we deal with right now issues, but a lot of times our right now issues are actually stemming from something behind us. So what I come to realize is that we have to realize that we have to start living in our truth, what makes us happy. Because I know, and I use myself as an example. I grew up in two-parent household, but I grew up in a a different type of religion, I'll say, to keep it there. And it kind of stagnated me on a lot of my growth patterns. Now, for some, it was okay, but for me, I always questioned, why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? Well, this also created a level of depression, high levels of anxiety, suicidal thoughts, because I was feeling as if I can't be my full self due to the set of rules that were set in front of me. And people say, "Well, that's not trauma." Well, you know, what is your definition of trauma? See, we always see trauma, we always see mental illness as obvious. It's not always obvious. You know, I almost would rather deal with an external obvious trauma or mental illness than to deal with one that's internal, that I have to also realize that I have to dig into the sources of it. You know, and with me, my sources were some of the closest people to me. So that was hard for me. It was hard for me to realize that, you know, if Randy's going to live within his truth, I just might have to face Mom and say, "Hey, you know what, Mom, this, and that." It was something that didn't really sit right with me, praying that I get the results I want, but understanding that I may not, and am I willing to stand within my truth and understand that I might have to stand alone for a little while. So I had to realize that we get one life, but we can get a lot of opportunities at relationships. When are you going to take the time to get your life on track? And once you get your life on track, give those relationships a time to fit in with you being the best version of self, because you're going to get the best results if that happens.
That is true. I agree with you all the time. But by this being, this was Mental Awareness Month also.
Yeah.
So, were you able to do any events or projects during this month?
Well, I tell you, I've been on been just doing a lot of, actually this month I've been doing a lot of interviewing since it has been a mental health month. I've been doing a lot of podcasts and conversations with people, just bringing awareness to the idiosyncrasies that come with it. I like to call it dealing with the unconscious mental illness. That because and why do I say unconscious? Because a lot of people don't realize that that's what they're dealing with. I grew up where you would always hear, "Oh man, he just crazy." Nah, that's just the easy way out because you don't understand why they are the way they are. But crazy is mental illness. So let's just face it for what it is. And now we get into, let's figure out why. And by figuring out why with one person, you actually help somebody else. And that's what I've been doing this month. Just talking to people about those unconscious moments, those moments that may not seem like mental illness to some, but is also a product of a lot of people's reality. Like with me, people say, "Man, how you gonna say how you mentally ill when you had everything you needed?" That depends on how you look at what a need is. See, I felt like part of my need was to allow me to make mistakes and face the consequences if I have to. But also the other side of the fence, what if I don't make a mistake? But it should have been my choice. It should have been my choice. You got, sometimes you have to with my kids, I have to realize at some point that I have to trust my raising, that they're going to make the right decision. But if they don't, it's okay. But I should still be there to catch them if they fall.
Yes.
That was part of the mental illness for me, trying to avoid the mistake. But trying to avoid a mistake pushes a person to want to live in perfection, and that's not reality.
That's facts. That's facts. I agree with you. I agree. but being a life coach, I know that can be a lot. What was the biggest challenge you had building your career and actually being a life coach?
Well, creating a level of trust with the people, especially when you start. Been one thing about started in an environment that I wasn't a known figure in. But being one of the known people in my city, I had to create a level of trust and confidentiality amongst the people that it was okay. People hear the stories about how Randy can help you, but then they think about, well, Randy knows a lot of people I know. Randy knows my family. Building a level of trust, showing people that what I do is real and that the results are serious. And once that became a reality, it became a no-brainer to, hey, I've tried this. Because I ended up having a lot of people that would come to me, and the first thing they say is, I've been in therapy for a long time now, and I'm making progress, but I'm not making moves. One thing people have to realize is we lose time with every breath. And I don't want to have a client forever. I want to have a testimony that continues to reciprocate new people. If that makes any sense. You know what I mean? So I'm going for results. I'm not going for longevity. I want people to be able to, if I can help you in 90 days, that's what I want. That's what I ask for. Because I need you to go into the world as a new person so that you can get, I keep looking at begins. That's all I see is begins and it's right behind you. And it's like, and it keeps telling me, I'm wanting to give a person a new beginning as fast as possible. If I can give them that new beginning, think about the way they're going to shout from the mountaintops to everybody, whether they need it or not. They're going to talk about Truth Coach Randy, and people are going to say, I might need to see that cat. I want my reciprocation to come from results.
That's facts, and I understand that all the way. You think that everybody needs to have a life coach in life?
I do in some capacity. In some capacity, whether it be, just you got an hour, or whether you got an hour a week, 5, no matter how it looks. If you want to take part in a course that's self-motivated, something, Why do I feel that way? Because life coaches get deep inside. They help you to get deep inside. Well, I know I try to help people get deep inside, past the obvious. Past the obvious, past the obvious. And when I say past the obvious, it's those things that you only think about, that you only wonder about, that need to be faced. These things need to be faced. You know, for years, I always ask myself, what's the problem? And I tried to find what I was doing wrong, because I was trying to protect everything that was involved in the scenario. Because one thing we hate to do, we hate to hurt people's feelings. Even in our worst moment, we hate to hurt people's feelings.
Yeah.
But while I was protecting people's feelings, I was hurting my own feelings. So that's what makes a life coach so important. It lets you know that you got to get it out, and you got to get it out in a way with someone that's not going to judge you, first of all, and it's going to keep it unbiased, because we need unbiased conversations when we're dealing with these traumas and things like that. I really don't need your opinion, but I do need your guidance. I do need you to take what I say, find those things that I'm avoiding, and bring them to the forefront so that I can make my own decisions, because change only comes when the subject makes the decision. If the subject never makes a decision, there will never be a difference.
Okay, I understand that. So what do you see yourself in the next couple of years?
Oh, wow. That's a great, I'm just finishing my first book, and yeah, it's funny because when I went to my team and I said, I'm gonna write my first book, and they were like, what do you want to get out of it? I said, I want to be a bestseller. And they were like, well, that's easy. I said, no, I really want to be a bestseller. I know a lot of people that have been authors,
Right.
got the book, and got the title, but do you really have all the status? See, I want all the status with it, because I need it to be a true part of my journey. I need it to be a selling point of my journey. Because by doing that, not only does Truth Coach Randy really help people, everything that I release also does the same thing. I need you to get the same results regardless of whether I'm standing in front of you or if I'm just a part of the moment. So that's one of my main things. I have Truth University, which piggybacks off what I just said. It's our online learning platform that's growing exponentially every day, that's going to offer courses of all kinds. I just brought in a health and wellness coach. I actually have we like to call her the angelic coach. So I have a spiritual coach also that I'm bringing in, just trying to bring some different things that we as a people deal with that creates different levels of mental illness that no one wants to talk about. We have people that have these spiritual transgressions that may have went far left because they didn't want to stay in that realm because of a traumatic moment. Or, you have people that are dealing with these health and wellness issues, and they're not dealing with them because they want to be the way they are. They may be dealing with it because they don't know how to get away from it. So we're just building different classes and things like that, and we're putting those on Truth University. And with Truth University, I have my own copyrighted approach called the SIMS approach. The SIMS approach is my method that I use to coach my individuals and my groups, and it starts with the story. See, if we don't get into the story, how can we find out what the problem is? See, problems just don't pop up. They just don't pop up. They came from something. So we got to get, so we just, we have casual conversation, and eventually that aha moment comes, and I'm like, boom, let's start there. Why do you keep reflecting back on that? And a lot of times people reflect on things that they don't know is the core of their issue. So we get into the story so that we can find things to start working on. I'm not trying to change everything at one time. Let's do it one thing at a time. Right. And we're going to start, and the I is called implementation. So we start doing some implementing of change so that we can start manifesting the new versions of who we want to be. And once we finally get that manifested correctly, the S is just show and tell. We don't have to talk about that. People are going to let you know that you're different. They're going to start asking you those questions. You look different today. Why you say it? Because you look different. See, people don't realize when we're depressed, high levels of anxiety, we look differently. But once you start feeling better, you look better, and people notice it. Trust me, people notice it. So just trying to get that approach out there, bring people into the fold, and help them to live free. I feel like I need to do this one person at a time. Even if it's in a group, I still got to do it one person at a time and create
Yes.
that avalanche of change. You know, you can go from 1 to 1,000,000 overnight. You just got to figure out the path to it. So that's Truth Coach Randy in a nutshell. Just trying to change the world. Hey, I got to do what I was put here to do. Like I told you at the beginning, it's my assignment.
Okay. Well, there you have it. You got the book, you manifesting everything. Yeah, just manifested. That's your assignment to get at least one person every day will be, really, really good to touch on. But we talked about your challenge. Let's talk about your accomplishment. What has been one of your biggest accomplishments you had so far in your career?
Wow, that's a good question. Man, surviving I won't say surviving the transgression of losing my wife due to my mental illness. Biggest accomplishment I ever could have. Biggest accomplishment I ever could have did, because I literally married my best friend, literally. And if you think about the true best friend, you don't think there's a way that you can lose them. But I wasn't losing them because I was a bad person. He would tell you he's a great husband, great father. He's been doing it the way he did it since the first day we met. But the problem was I was allowing those demons from my past to affect me here in the present. And that was the one thing that was creating the tension and the distrust that would separate us. So to be a man enough to put my ego to the side, and I had to use my own process. This is actually how the Sims approach came about. I actually had to go through my story open-minded and go back and compare and contrast what's going wrong now and where did it come from. And I realized that, the fact that I was always hearing, be quiet, we've been here before, we know what we're talking about. It had me where I was afraid to voice my opinion, but it also had me where I was only wanting to bring results instead of involving people with the process. And my wife was like, you know what, I can appreciate the fact that you're fixing these things.
Yeah.
But if you don't allow me to be a part of the process, bro, we're not a unit.
That's right.
I was like, dang, what does that matter? You say you need $20,000 and I bring you $20,000. She's like, yeah, but where you get the $20,000 from? You might have saved 3 days if you had brought me into the process, but see, you want to be a man, you want to let your ego get in the way. And that's what most of us do as men. We let our ego get in the way. So the biggest accomplishment for me was realizing that ego can be my friend, but it can be one of my worst enemies. And I had to learn that excuses are just that. They're just an excuse, but an excuse just keeps you away from living within what you need to be standing in. So I let the excuses go. I put the ego to the side. I was honest. And in the moment of fear, the atmosphere showed me that the truth truly shall set you free. Because when I looked at her and gave her the truth, I expected her to say, you know what, appreciate you telling me this, but I can't deal with you anymore. She just looked at me and said, I'm proud of you. Thank you, gave me a kiss, and we have not had any issues since that day. And people say, how long you been married? I've been married 21 years in June. Believe it or not, year 19 was when this happened.
Congrats.
Year 19 is when I finally realized that it was time to face my demons, live within my truth, to receive all of the joy and happiness that I was supposed to start enjoying right then and there at that moment. And hey, it's been flowing ever since.
Now that's a story right there. That is a story. But what can you give? What are your goals for 2022? I know you talked about the book in the future and everything else, but what are your goals for 2022?
But my goal right now is establishing Truth University at the highest level I can, because when it was given to me, this is something that the world needs. The world needs a safe place, safe place. And I say safe, so this is not a place where you have to worry. You know, I've been advised so much to, you don't need to do one-on-ones anymore. You know, group is the way, yeah, you know, to a certain degree, but you also have to know what you're doing. You also have to know what your end goals are supposed to be. And I'm not trying to put someone in a scenario where they're stuck with masking. So I'm going to keep Truth University as it's going to have its group component, but people are always going to have that safe place to be open and transparent, because that's how you get to true healing. So 2022, my goal is to ensure that Truth University is established with as many resources for the people as possible. As I continue to grow my brand, I continue to grow this change and create happiness with every person that I meet.
Amen. Amen. I love those. I love it. I like to ask this. What has been the one piece of advice you've ever received?
Oh, boy, it's ironic. And you said it comes to me instantly. I was, 18, and I was an athlete, you know, so I did a lot of things that athletes do. So I remember one day I came home from school, and my dad asked me about a particular incident that had happened prior to, and I gave him my story. And he looked at me and he said, "You know what, son? I'm going to believe you." He said, "But just remember this. If you told me a lie, if I ask you again in 20 years, you're going to have to remember what you said. But if you told me the truth, you'll never forget it."
All right. Yes.
So that's the best advice. And it's ironic that I became a truth coach because this
Right.
truth shall set you free. Yeah.
That is so true. Those are definitely some words to live by, definitely. Also, what is one message you would like to give to the audience right now? Any tips or any advice?
Don't
drop
be
them
afraid.
gems.
I'm gonna drop it. Well, you know, you know, everything doesn't need to be the major big picture. Some things are simple, and it's simple that understanding that every day, let yourself know that you're important enough. Let yourself know that it's okay for you to be happy.
Yes.
Understand that you don't have to be the sacrifice. You don't have to be the sacrifice. You have the right to stand at the top, and say that to yourself over and over and over again. Eventually, you're going to believe it. It's amazing what you get from that man in the mirror when you're talking to him. Guess what? You get what you're saying, and you get to see your facial reactions, and you get to see, you know what, I'm not doing that with enough confidence. Start talking to yourself. Let yourself know you are the one. It's okay. Because if you don't believe you're the one, what you going to do when you have to stand alone?
That's right.
So that's what I tell people to do every day.
All right, those are some words to go by. Y'all better take that advice, because I sure took it just then. I live by it every day. But usually this is where we do our fun fact questionnaire. We give you a question apiece, and he's not on here, so I'll just give you 2 questions.
Okay.
So I always like to ask this question. If you could change places with one person for one day, who would it be, and why did you choose that person?
Man, Kanye West.
Okay, and why would you choose him?
Because I just don't think people want to listen to him. You know, they want to judge him before they hear him. And they want to judge him because of the scenarios. When sometimes you just need to, if you follow this man's story, he's been screaming to the top of the rooftop since day one who he is. But people still want to question who he is. Kanye West has not changed. Pay attention to his story. If you pay attention to his story, he's been the same man. He loves hard. And a man that loves hard will sacrifice himself to get the results that he wants. And that's the man that I see. And I would love the opportunity to be able to walk in his shoes and be able to find the way to display to the world who I am by finding a way to get the controversy set to the side.
Okay. All right. Kanye West, you'll be him for 24 hours. Okay, so the next question is, if you were stuck on an island and you can only take 3 things, what 3 things would you take? And why did you choose those 3 things?
My wife and my 2 daughters. Because with them, I can conquer, with them, I can accomplish anything. Anything. And I don't need resources in front of me to do it. Just looking at them and the confidence they have in me, I know that the way always will come to me as long as I have those 3 people with me.
Amen. And ain't nothing wrong with that. And ain't nothing wrong with having family there. You know what I mean? Like, we'll work together, do it together, we'll figure it out.
Exactly.
But do you have any events or any workshops or anything coming up?
Well, I keep at thesimsapproach.com. That's thesimsapproach.com. I always have a 7-day truth challenge on there that I do complimentary. I want to always give people an opportunity to do a kickstart. So you can always go to thesimsapproach.com and sign up for the 7-day truth challenge. And I ask everybody to do it. You know, you sometimes you may not want to let the world know, but you need to let yourself know. So then I have my book release coming up here soon. We're finished on the final stages of that. We also have an ebook that's about to release. And many people don't know that I'm actually a chef. I call myself Coach Chef. I'm Coach Chef because everything that I do, I want to leave a message. That's why they call me Coach Chef, because when I'm cooking, I cook with passion, but I always cook to change people. My wife has celiac disease, so I'm a gluten-free chef. And I've learned how to cook gluten-free. But it's so delectable that you would not believe that it's not in there. But I do that to show the world that don't stay in a box. Find your way. Add in the things that you know are right, and then just see what the results will be. And that's what I do. I live my life like that, and I just want to leave my mark. And when I leave here, I want people to say, man, he left it all on the table. When I tell you he left it all on the table, this dude right here, he left here because he was exhausted.
I know that's right. I know that's right. But this book that's coming out, what date is it coming out on? Because I'm a bookworm too.
Man, we're in the final. I'm looking at maybe the 3rd week in May.
Okay.
We're on the final stages of it now, so I'm looking at the 3rd week in May.
Okay, and what was the name of the book again?
The Truth of the Matter Is.
The Truth of the Matter Is. Well, I hope I can be able to read that book. I'm gonna get it. Just let me know when it come out.
You'll definitely be able to get it. You'll definitely be able to get it. I'm not gonna give it away, but just know that, you know, we have a lot of scenarios in life, and then you'll have somebody say, but you know what, the truth of the matter is, and they're going to give you the way they feel like it should be.
That's right.
And that's what we're doing.
I know that's right. Well, y'all make sure that y'all go and get this book that's coming out in a couple of weeks, because May is already here. And go ahead and tell everybody where they can follow you also. Well,
I tell you, everywhere. I keep it simple. You can find me at Truth Coach Randy everywhere you go. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Podcast is anchor.fm/Truth Coach Randy. You can find Truth Coach Randy at truthcoachrandy.com. And don't forget about thesimsapproach.com to become a part of Truth University.
Yes. Y'all make sure to go follow him. And then you said you have the 7-day, would they join it? What do they?
The 7-day truth challenge. Just go to thesimsapproach.com, click on the link, and it's gonna let you. It's gonna bring you right into the room. Soon as you register, you'll be right there in the room, and you just do it at your pace. You got 7 days.
Okay. All right, y'all make sure y'all do that challenge, you know. It's only 7 days. It's only 7 days. But before we get off, is there anything else you would like to say to the audience or anything?
Well, I always like to leave them with one thing, and I always want to let you know: don't find comfort in the lies. Instead, seek freedom in the truth.
Mm. Mm. See, you be dropping those good words and that good advice. Well, I definitely want to say thanks for interviewing with us today. It's been a pleasure to get to know a little bit about you and about your journey. I wish you nothing but success and good things for 2022, and you already believe in it and manifest it. So this is your purpose, like you said, it's coming for you.
Yes, yes.
I can't. I can't wait to read your book when it comes out, and then I'm gonna check out the 7-day challenge because I love to do a challenge. I think everybody should check that out also. But definitely, well, you have a happy Wednesday today, and be blessed.
You as well. And I sure appreciate you. Thank you so much for having me today.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All
You
right,
have a
have a
great
good
rest of your
one.
day. All right, bye now.
Okay.